Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Conquering the MCAT on the MedBoys channel. My name is Naman, and I'm here with Nimit and Rushil. We are third-year neuroscience and psychology students at the University of Toronto, and we're on our journey to attending medical school and becoming a doctor. And we're here to help you do the same. Today, we'll be talking about the schedule that we personally use to study for the MCAT. If you haven't watched our video on how to score a 520 on the MCAT, please check that one out before watching this one, since it will help you understand why we chose specific resources in this video. Our schedule is roughly 3 months long, but it can be adjusted to fit however long you want to study for.
If this is your first time studying for the MCAT full-time and you do have a background in science, the schedule is for you. 3 months is the perfect amount of time, since any more may result in you forgetting things, and any less may not give you enough time to complete all the required prep. We believe having a study schedule for the MCAT is really important because there's a very large amount of content to cover, and without something to guide you, you may lose track of time and be unable to complete your studying before your test date. If you want to be up to date on future topics, please like and subscribe, and please make sure to watch till the end of the video to get all the tips you need. Now let's get into the video.
First of all, you must decide when you're taking the MCAT. Students commonly schedule their test date depending on how much time they want off during their studying. But be sure to factor in your personal commitments when doing so.
When you're ready to start studying, first take a diagnostic MCAT. We recommend taking the free sample AAMC full length for this because a diagnostic allows you to assess your baseline score and identify any broad weaknesses in your understanding of the content. This will help you focus your studying, since you would know which subject you should be allocating more time to. After this, establish a target score that you want to reach by the end of the studying, since a concrete goal can be a good motivator.
Now it's time to talk about the actual 3-month schedule. Be sure to order all of the required resources we discussed in our how to score a 520 or higher on the MCAT video before you start studying.
In your first month, you should aim to work 6 days a week with 1 rest day. This ensures that you'll be able to complete all of the content in around 6 weeks. You want to make sure that you're doing your daily CARS practice using the tips we talked about in our CARS video. Start with 3 passages a day, and once you're comfortable, work your way up to 6. However, you should only do 6 passages on dedicated days, since it's quite difficult to study after having done that many passages. The goal, by the end of your studies, is to get around 9 passages in one session, since this is the number of passages you'll encounter on the real MCAT.
Next, you should complete 2 chapters from any subject of your Kaplan books each day. For example, you could do biology and biochemistry on Mondays and Thursdays. Based on this, you'll be completing at least 2 chapters from each subject per week, which will allow you to finish the content review in 6 weeks, as there are 12 chapters in each book. Make sure that the chapters are from different subjects, as studying different subjects at the same time is a process known as interleaving, and it is known to improve learning. However, for the psychology and sociology section, we didn't read the Kaplan books and instead used the MCAT Bros PDF and Anki. Instead of set number of pages or practice, we set a 2-hour time limit and tried to finish as much as possible during that time. We found this worked better for us since we were familiar with some topics and not others.
Like we mentioned before in our previous videos, you should also do some UWorld practice questions after your content review to perform active recall, also known to boost your memory. We recommend starting with 1 passage and 1 set of discrete questions per subject you studied in 1 day, and to work your way up to about 3 passages per subject in each session. During this, you should also try to develop an error reflection system to make sure you're keeping track of your mistakes. To do so, identify the question you got wrong as well as the underlying concept. Then write out the exact mistake you performed, whether it was a conceptual error or simply a calculation error. Finally, do the necessary review to ensure that you do not make the same mistake using your resources and doing the question again.
Finally, you want to do your Anki flashcards for the previous day's content. This is a way for you to review in an engaging way, and since you'll be able to go over the content after some time, you'll actually be able to remember it for a lot longer. We know that this seems like a lot to do in a single day, but the MCAT is a very long exam, and we need to get used to intensive studying over a long period of time. This is only the start, and eventually, the more you study, the more you'll get used to this. So what matters is that you try your best to do as much as possible every single day.
If you guys are looking for a way to divide up the subjects by day, here's what we did. You can pause the video here or take a screenshot of this for future reference.
Now for the second month, this is when you want to start introducing third-party full lengths. You want to take the first one at the start of the second month and the second one about 2 weeks after. You might be wondering why we recommend only taking 2 full lengths over the course of this entire month. This is because in our experience, our scores really started to improve with more content review and practice questions as compared to doing more full lengths. Also, these exams are simply meant to familiarize you with the format of the MCAT, since third-party full lengths are not representative of the actual MCAT, and doing more of them will not necessarily mean your score on the real MCAT will be higher. After each full length, you should take the time to perform a thorough analysis using the error reflection system we talked about, and do some more studying to correct those mistakes before taking the next full length.
You should also be continuing your daily CARS practice, doing more passages every week. You should aim to get to 9 passages a day by the end of this month. You should also be completing your content review into about 2 weeks into this month. Additionally, keep doing your U-Roll practice questions, as you should be able to do around 59 questions in one session by the end if you've been working your way up to it. Finally, you should be doing your Anki flashcards once again for all chapters, limiting it to no more than 2 subjects in one day. You should also be mostly focusing on psychology and sociology with your Anki, since this section is very dependent on your knowledge of these terms.
In the third month, prioritize getting all the AAMC question packs done in about 3 weeks. This is so that you have enough practice with the exact types of questions you'll be getting on the real MCAT. There are about 780 questions in total, so try to allocate enough time to finish them all. If you work an average of 6 days a week, you'll need to do about 43 questions a day. This may seem like a lot, but each passage can have up to 7 questions, so you're only really doing 6 passages.
Another point that you will need to keep in mind would be to only practice AAMC CARS. This is to ensure that you're practicing CARS passages that are most similar to the ones you'll be experiencing on the real test day. Resources like Jack Weston and Exam Crackers are very beneficial for practice, but their style of questioning or even reasoning might differ from AAMC's reasoning, which may cause you to mess up on the real exam. The total amount of questions assigned in the AAMC CARS pack is sufficient practice for the last month before testing. The package consists of a diagnostic tool with around 179 questions and 2 separate question packs with 120 questions each.
The next point is to review any weak areas and keep practicing your Anki decks. There's no point in going over the content that you already know well, so try to make a list of the topics you're weak with and spend the majority of your time on those areas. After creating this list, go back to your prep book and reread the chapter with great detail to ensure you understand everything. For me, I was a little weak with the excretory system, so I read over the chapter 4 times. In addition, try to do at least 50 Anki cards every day for the subject that you feel you need to work on the most, and try to nail down all the high yield concepts from those chapters.
The final tip for the last month would be to take practice tests provided by AAMC on time. You would want to avoid repeating the same mistakes you've made in previous practice tests. This can be ensured by reviewing the tests right after you take them and spending enough time on the concepts that you were not clear with on the exam. Try to take the first full length at the start of the month, the second in the second week, the third in the third week, and finally the last full length 2 days after FL3.
Lastly, it's important to be flexible and adapt to your situations. If you find that a certain strategy isn't working for you, don't keep using it. Find other ones to get your goal to make sure you don't get stuck doing something that is actually hindering your progress. For example, I tried out the Pomodoro method when I was studying, and while it may work for others, I found that it made me less productive. So I switched my study strategy right away. Stay on the lookout for a video dedicated to study strategies.
And that brings us to the end of this video. Please be sure to like if you learned something and drop a comment if you have a question or want to share your own MCAT study schedule. Don't forget to check out our Conquering the MCAT playlist for more tips on how to succeed on the MCAT. To be notified of our future videos, please be sure to subscribe. See you guys in the next one.